Hi, this is Stephanie Hodge. I am CEO and Principal Consultant for Essex Consulting, and we do HR consulting for small to mid-sized companies. And I'm coming to you today to give you an update, what we've been updating our clients for the last day or two on COVID-19 and the new law that was passed under the Trump administration called the Families First Coronavirus Response Act. So I wanted to share with you some information about this. There are two types of leave covered under this act that we should be aware of. The first is a 2-week paid sick leave. So this is 10 days or 2 weeks of paid leave provided for employees who have issues related to COVID-19. So if an employee gets ill or is seeking diagnosis for COVID-19, this paid leave provides 10 days of their full salary, regular earnings during this time. Now, this leave also is provided for employees who must care for a sick family member. So if someone in the family falls sick under COVID-19 and the employee needs to care for them, they have this 2-week paid leave provision as well. If you're an employee caring for a sick family member, that leave is not at 100% of your regular earnings, but at 2/3 of what you would normally owe, to a maximum of $200 per day. So let me just go over that. So the first is if you as an employee get sick or are seeking diagnosis for COVID-19, you are covered for 10 days of your regular pay up to a maximum of $511 per day. If you are an employee and you are caring for a sick family member who has been diagnosed with COVID-19 or seeking diagnosis, then you will receive 2/3 of your regular earnings for that 10-day period up to a maximum of $200 per day. So for employers, there is a provision to help support employers during this time as well. So the government is providing a paid sick leave credit. And so this credit should offset at 100% any of the costs that the employers are spending for this coverage. There is also some contribution to offset health insurance premiums as well. And so we still are awaiting details on how the credit will be applied and that process of how are we submitting information on employees who are covered under this. So I encourage you as employers to keep very good record of any employees that fall under this provision. Think employee data, their name, information, the dates that they've been out, and the amounts paid as we get more information on how we should be supplying the government with this information. So the second type of leave is called paid family leave for employees. I think of this very similar to FMLA provisions. But what this is, again, this is COVID-19 related leave. So if an employee needs to be out for a longer period of time, this provision provides 12 weeks of paid leave of an employee's regular earnings for COVID-19 sickness, as well as to care for a child that might be home due to school closures related to COVID-19. So if you think about it, these schools were closed unexpectedly, and employees had to figure out how they're going to be at home to care for their child. And so this 12 weeks of paid leave is to cover that. What I think is interesting is employees only need to have been employed with the organization for 30 days to fall under this provision. So it's much different from the normal FMLA, where you have to be employed for a longer period of time. So let's talk about this leave. The first 10 days of the paid family leave for employees is unpaid, but you can use that paid sick leave we talked about earlier to supplement those 10 days. Following that, or within that, the full 12 weeks would be covered. And it's not at 100% of employees' earnings. So an employee could receive up to 2/3 of what of their regular pay during this 12-week time period. So what about employers? So the government is also supporting employers during this time by providing what's called a paid family leave credit. So similar to the paid leave credit, this one should recoup costs for companies at 100%, offset costs at 100%. And there are also some contributions to health insurance plans that will be recouped as well. Now, again, we are still waiting for information on how that credit will be applied in terms of timing. So take very, very good records as an employer of the employees who fall under this provision and what amounts were paid. So let's talk about the very small companies who this may still be a hardship, even with the credits that will be applied for the government. So there will be, or they have built in, a hardship exemption for companies with 50 employees or less who may be severely impacted in terms of cash flow for covering employees during this time. So if you are a small business, 50 employees or less, that you truly feel this would be in hardship, I suggest you apply for the hardship exemption. Otherwise, for employers, the credits that will be applied to offset the costs are a very good way to allow you to care for your employees today and also receive support from the government later. Now, let's talk about if you're just working from home. So employers who have set up situations where your employees can work from home, there's no leave coverage for that. Keep doing what you're doing. If you are an employee who is able to work from home and you're healthy, whether your children are home from school or not, if you're able to work, this provision would not be applied, and it's not applied on top of your regular earnings. So kudos to those companies who have things in place in order to allow employees to work from home. But think about employees who work in more service-oriented industries, restaurants, retail. If your store is closing or your business is temporarily shut down, this provision really will help to balance that time until stores reopen again. So again, just look out for more updates. We want to be a source of information for you, both as an employee and as an employer. So we will provide as much information as we can and update you as things change. So I just hope that everyone is taking seriously the social distancing and staying healthy, and have a wonderful weekend, and look out for more updates soon. Thanks.